Every day, we build the world around us.
But who's checking in on us?
Welcome to Built For Us.
It's a brand new podcast.
Built by construction workers, for construction workers.
It's our own honest space.
There's no scripts, there's no suits. It's just
Real talk about mental health, stress,
And showing up for each other.
So, guys, welcome back to Built For Us, the podcast for construction workers by construction workers. This episode, me and Vish are going to have a conversation about anxiety. How are you doing, Vish?
I've got anxiety, mate. So, looking forward to this one. It'll be a good one.
Yeah. Like I say, anxiety, for me, it affects each and every one of us every single day. Some people more than most. What's your experiences with anxiety, especially within the workplace, for example?
Yeah, I think it will be interesting to kick things off with a statistic about construction workers. And that's in the last 5 years, anxiety has risen by 27%. And now as a survey has been carried out, and it shared that 83% of construction workers are feeling anxiety. Now, being on the tools myself, something that really, really gives me a lot of anxiety is travel time and time away from family and financials. I think those three things there, they really do give me a lot of anxiety, because I can be doing a job which is 2.5 hours away. That 2.5 hours is never really accounted for in my hours of work. And for me, I'm like speeding. So I'm like racing to the job. Then I'm getting to the job and I'm like, oh God, materials ain't there. Okay, so now I'm having to race to a wholesaler, which is usually half an hour away. Get to the wholesaler, naturally there's a queue, and then you wait in, and then you back to the job, and it just builds, and it feels as if construction hasn't quite got that balance between travel time and working on a site right yet. So how about yourself, Steve? What's your thoughts with this?
No, I totally get that. Like that stress, as that stress builds, the anxiety builds on it, because you want to get the job done, you want to get paid, and sometimes it's just really, really difficult. It's like, for me, like I left construction a few years ago now, but even as a 360 operator, sometimes, like, I never realised I suffered from anxiety until I understood now understand what it is. But looking back, it's like I'd get asked to maybe level a huge area with a 360 for a temporary car parking basement, and it has to be completely level. Do you know what I mean? And even back, like, when I first got my tickets and stuff, I remember just absolutely stressing. You know, like, and I felt it had to be perfect. So I'd be going over it and over it, and my anxiety levels would just be rising. Like, I'd literally be panicking, sat in my machine. Anyone tries talking to me, I'd be like, look, just go, you know, like, leave me alone. But yeah, even small jobs sometimes, like, you get told about all the risks and stuff involved in the work area that you are in, and the risks that are in that area. And again, my anxiety would be, you'd be fearing the worst all the time. I mean, what if this happens? What if that happens? Even though you're following procedures and you're doing everything right, that anxiety is there, because it is a high-risk industry. You know what I mean? We're working in a high-risk industry. So I think if we didn't have anxiety of some way, shape or form, then that'd be a bad thing, because it kind of keeps us on our toes a little bit. But it's managing that anxiety.
There's a balance, isn't there? Like, you want to have that healthy anxiety where you're kind of keeping yourself on your toes, sort of thing. But then there's the anxiety of that pressure and the constant pressure building and building and building. And like you said, you can easily snap at your colleague because it's no fault of theirs. You're just like, I just need to get this done. I'm stressed out. I've got 100 things on my plate. I really ain't got time for you. But this is where construction, personally, I've noticed it's slightly kind of changing now. So I'm still on the tools. And one thing I've noticed over probably the last, I'd say 12 months, is management are now listening. They're actually stopping you and going, let's talk about it. Because it's so important that when you're in these high pressure environments, you've actually got someone you can speak to. So I've had a recent thing. Funnily enough, it was about travel time, so that's why it's fresh in my mind.
Yeah.
When I was driving somewhere in the region of 4 to 5 hours a day, and on top of that, they wanted me to attend 3 different jobs, which could be anywhere. And honestly, I tell you, Steve, I was so stressed out. Like, I actually, this is so bad, but I ended up getting a ticket for speeding as well. So I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I've got to jump on that course now. So you can see, like, from the second you wake up, you're already dreading the day because you've got a 2.5 hour drive.
Yeah.
And then you've got to somehow manage to squeeze in all this work. And then you've also got to drive home, make it back in time to walk the dog, have dinner, cook, clean, have a shower, just freshen up a bit. It's bedtime. It's literally, I call it bedtime still.
The day's
It's
gone.
bedtime.
For me as well, I worked away from home a lot, like Monday to Friday. When I worked I was in construction for 20 years, construction and demolition. And again, looking back, I didn't really understand mental health, anxiety, stuff like that back then. It wasn't spoke about as much. But I struggle a lot in my own mind with anxiety, being away from home, like 4 or 5 nights a week, sometimes even longer if we had to work the weekends and do 2 weeks. Just worrying about the kids back home. Is everything all right? Even though I'd spoke to my partner at the time, it's like, what if something goes wrong and I'm not there? Like, it's just that fear of something. Probability is like, well, now ever did go wrong, but in your mind, you sat there thinking, well, what if something happens? And that had caused my anxiety to go through the roof. But even like back then, like I used to many times, I'd just have a few beers to kind of knock me out, and then I'm turning to drink, and it was the norm because I was working away. I was staying in a pub. But yeah, there's many ways that anxiety just cripples people. Even like now, like going to concerts, stuff like that, worrying if anything's going to happen. Like it's a bit of a scary world out there at the moment. So you've kind of that. I think a lot of people are struggling with anxiety even more so, just because of the politics of the world. But it's really scary for me as well. I never spoke about it. I used to just deal with it. And I think that's another biggie, especially in construction. Like you said, a lot of companies are doing a lot of good things, and like supervisors, management, offering to listen if anybody's struggling. And that is really good now. Like as you know, I do talks all over the UK. And I did a talk last week for a company, and they've got a safe space, they call it, on each site. And if anybody wants a chat, they just say, have you got 15 minutes? And that, have you got 15 minutes, is basically saying, I need to talk to somebody. And then they can go to the safe space and get off whatever's on the chest, whether it's something to do with work, a lot of stress building up, different trades, whatever it might be, it's there. So it is a lot better now, but most of my time in construction, none of that was there. You just had to deal with it. You didn't talk about it. So things for me are definitely improving. I'm definitely seeing improvements within the industry.
Same here. And you know what? I think that's such a fantastic idea. If every site could implement one tiny little room for people to go to and just talk.
Just a safe space.
Yeah,
a lot of companies are investing a lot of money into like mental health first aid and stuff like that, and putting people through the course. Now, for me, I believe that everybody should do the basic mental health first aid course on site. It's just so you've got an understanding. But putting that little bit extra in and creating that safe space, whether it's just a small room, whether it's a conference room, whatever it might be, or even just a cabin on site. So if somebody is struggling, and it is a lot more open now. There is a lot more guys actually. So I say guys because it's mainly guys that don't talk, but there is a lot more guys finding the confidence to actually admit that they're not coping. And whether that is anxiety, whether it's depression. For me, stress causes that anxiety. But another biggie for me, what I've learned or what I've witnessed, is when someone's self-confidence isn't in a good place, you're a lot more anxious. And anxiety kind of comes along a lot harder, a lot deeper.
Yeah.
With people who've got no self-confidence, who've lost themselves.
Don't you find that working in construction, you're in kind of like flight or fight all the bloody time? It's either you're running at 110 miles per hour or you're thinking about running at 110 miles per hour.
Yeah.
And I really struggle with that. I feel like that just turning off is so difficult. Like, I genuinely struggle with it.
Even when you get home, you don't switch off because you're still thinking about what you've done, what you've still got to do tomorrow, what, like you said, what materials you need. Are all the guys going to turn up? It's just constant. But again, we need to learn to give ourselves that kind of safe space, if you like. We need to understand we need to take time out, even if it's just an hour after work or whatever it might be, just completely switch off from work. I'm lucky, like I know once my laptop's closed, I'm away from whatever I'm doing. I don't think about work. I've got my work life and I've got my personal life. But again, that's now. For many, many years, it wasn't like that. For a long, long time, it was. So even when I got home, I was thinking about what I had to do tomorrow. And if I had a big job the following day, again, I wouldn't hardly sleep. I'd be literally that anxious. So
100%.
Anyone listening to this now, the one thing that I'd say is, if something is giving you anxiety, if you are anxious about something, then talk about it, because once you've spoke about it, you released it, makes it
It's like
easier.
a weight off your shoulders. But the hardest bit is taking that first step to actually finding someone to go, I need to chat. And but once you do it, I'm a strong believer of, you don't necessarily have to find someone in your immediate group. You can find somebody exterior to it and just go up to them and say, look, I'm really struggling. When I mean exterior, I don't mean a stranger in the street. I mean, it can be a supervisor, it can be your contracts manager, it could be a mate on site. You know, somebody in your life who you've got some sort of relationship with, you can talk to them. It takes so much more courage talking than it does bottling it up.
Even a complete stranger. I've had many conversations with complete strangers, and literally they've vented to me, and then I've vented back to them, and then got everything off our chest, and then gone separate ways and never seen them again. And it's like, cheers for that. I don't know, like, we probably both needed it in that moment.
I love your coffee shop story. I think that was one of my favourites. So that was one of my favourites.
There's a few. There's a supermarket. There's even in the gym. I just got talking to a random guy, and he was struggling massively with anxiety and depression. And I explained that I've gone through that. And the one thing that I get quite often, I don't know if it's because I work out or because I'm getting old now or I've got tattoos, but one thing I get all the time is, you don't look like the type of person that would struggle with anxiety or depression. And it's like, what does somebody look like? It's not about physical. It's not physical. It's mentally. It's in the mind. And I think what most people are really trying to say is, I don't look like the type of guy that would admit to struggling with it.
That's so true. 100%. That's so true.
But for me, I've probably learned the hard way after my mental health journey, but I've learned, we talk about everything, whatever it is. Admit that you're not coping. A lot of us guys, even now, like I speak to teenagers, we're told to man up. So if you've got anxiety, it's like, oh, anxiety, man up, deal with it. Now, manning up and dealing with it is literally you being told to just sort it yourself, deal with it. Now, for me, manning up is, I know how difficult it is to admit that you're not coping. I know how hard it is to admit that you're really anxious, you've got anxiety about something, or you're sinking into that deep, dark hole of depression. And being able to admit that and having the strength to admit that, to me, that's manning up. So we should all be manning up. We should all, men and women, just man up and talk about your emotions, talk about your anxiety, talk about your depression, talk about your addictions, because
100%.
It's the way we move forward.
100%. Oh, absolutely. But I think something that the listeners are going to want to know is, let's say they've got anxiety, they're stressed out, they're suffering with depression, they don't know how to get out of this really, really brutal place they're in. For me personally, I do a couple of things when I'm in that position. One, I love going for a walk. I take my dog for a walk and I get the fresh air. I try not to take my headphones. I just enjoy the noise around me, and I definitely don't want to sit on my phone when I'm on a walk. The other thing I've started doing now, especially on my long drives, because they really do give me quite a lot of anxiety, is I take some really deep breaths through the mouth. So I'll go, and then through the nose I exhale, and it's
Yeah.
absolutely fantastic. Do that for 60 seconds, and it's just incredible. And a lot of people think, oh, you're doing breathing exercises, that's so woo-woo. Oh, I ain't got time to do breathing. Mate, you can do breathing exercises on the toilet whilst going for a crap, right? And that's the truth. You can get off Instagram and you sit on that toilet, and it might even help you with a number two if you. But it's true. You
Yeah.
can always make 60
No,
seconds.
you're completely right though. And breathing is probably the best thing to calm yourself down. Basically, the man's going into fight or flight, and the more anxious you get, it becomes a panic attack. And there'll be many people listening who's gone from having anxiety to panic attacks, and then you're struggling. Do you know what I mean? You feel like you're having a heart attack. You're gonna die. Now, the biggest tip I've got when it gets to that phase, when it goes for the anxiety, as you said, it's breathing. It's bringing yourself back into the now. If you're anxious about something, you're thinking about something in the future, something that's not even there, it's not even happened. It's just your mind's taking you there. And the brain doesn't know the difference between reality and imagination. So whatever you're visualizing in your head or what's going to happen, whether it's something at work, whether the boss is going to kick off, whether something's going to go wrong, whether it's going into a crowded room, your brain's fearing the worst. So just by stopping and breathing, as you just said, taking nice deep breaths, that brings you back into the now, it calms you down. When it gets a bit more severe and it's more of a panic attack, best thing you can do is sit down, put your feet flat on the floor, hands flat on the table, so you feel grounded, you know you're safe. And again, just breathe. Yeah. But it's being secure. It's letting your brain know that you are secure. You've got hold of something. Your feet are on the floor, and it stops that anxiety within seconds. For somebody who's consistently waking up every day and they're really struggling with anxiety, for me, that's when I start to try to build their confidence, their self-worth, because they're seeing a lot of negative in a lot of things, and that's why the anxiety builds so much.
Well, a wise man once said to me, Steve, if you're having more bad days than good, it's time to get some help. I don't know who that wise man was, but
yeah. And I think that same guy probably said, nothing changes if nothing changes.
I think he does. He does say that. Yes, he does, Steve.
So if you are struggling, but you're not doing anything, you need to talk. You need to get help. And by talking, that's where the change will come in. Again, a lot of guys in construction, we've got that kind of tough guy kind of image. Do you know what I mean? It's a tough industry. And I'm not talking about all the office staff and the engineer. I'm talking about like the ground workers, the scaffolders. You know what I mean? Not the electricians or the plumbers.
I'll leave it at. I've broken a nail once.
But no, they have that kind of persona. Do you know what I mean? We're brought up the way we're brought up. It's just we're going into that industry. Think we're a bit tough. You don't want to tell somebody you've got anxiety, even though it's crippling you. It's like in your mind, it's like they're going to laugh at me. They're going to think I'm a bit of a wimp or whatever. But it's not. Again, it takes strength to admit that you're not coping. And for me, we all need to be talking. We all need to be communicating. And as you said, it doesn't have to be your best mate at work. It could be somebody on site, just not a stranger, someone who you feel you could trust. You can tell a lot of the times people who you feel you could talk to and people who maybe not. And there's always somebody to talk to, whether it's friends, colleagues, family, strangers. But yeah, if someone's listening to this and they're really struggling at the minute with anxiety, then please reach out and speak to somebody. Happily contact me. I will help anybody as long as I've got the time to respond in that moment. But yeah, again, SKLifeCoachUK. Give us a Google. Send us a message, and I'm sure my details are on here somewhere. Anyhow, for me, nobody should have to struggle, and I know with the NHS and all sorts of other kind of mental health support out there. The waiting lists are ridiculous. It's crazy. I'm just a one-man band. It's just me, but I'll help as many people as I can. So feel free to reach out.
Absolutely. Well, it's really interesting because I've had my own therapy journey. I was suicidal twice in the last 6 years, and my therapy journey, it was really, really good. Like, a lot of men don't talk about this, so I'm gonna throw it out there. My anxiety was through the roof. I was going for walks at 12 o'clock at night, 2 o'clock in the morning, because I just couldn't sleep. I couldn't rest. My head was spiraling. I felt as if my whole world around me was crumbling inside, and I couldn't control it. And where I'm quite a control freak, and I'm open about that, where I couldn't control this, I couldn't control that, I couldn't control anything. It felt so heavy on my chest and my shoulders that I was starting to get a bit of a hunchback. I lost that morale to actually just say to people like, good morning or hi, how you doing? Now, when I started therapy, don't get me wrong, it wasn't easy. And I don't want to put on this podcast that therapy is the easiest thing in the world. It's not.
No.
It's really not. And when I first started, I realized something very quickly, that loudmouth Vish, who, wants to crack a joke, in a therapy room, you can still do that, but they're really good at what they do. They will break everything down and they'll help you understand why. And when you know your why, I find that's when you start actually wanting to grow. So all the guys and girls who are listening to this podcast, please don't think therapy is easy. It's not. You have to work on yourself. But anything good in life, you have to put the work in, you have to put the energy in, you have to put the effort in. But do it. You absolutely have to do it, because when you actually go to therapy and you sit in that room, it's daunting. You'll probably get anxiety from it, but I promise you, it's the best thing in the world. And from my own journey, I'll talk a little bit about Onward Shift. Onward Shift, I'm the founder of that, and we've got over 20 coaches and counsellors. We'll beat any NHS waiting time. 18 months is far too long to wait for mental health support. So we've got about 16 different services under our umbrella, paid and free. So please, please, please check out onwardshift.com, because at the end of the day, I'll be arrogant on here and I'll say I want to help 1 million people in my life. That's my selfish goal, which is hopefully selfless. So yeah, check out onwardshift.com. And Steve, obviously, you're an incredible person as well.
I totally get like what you're saying about therapy. When I first sat in that therapy room and my counsellor came in, I was there because of an accident at work that I was involved in. But I'm getting, your therapist probably did the exact same. She didn't even mention that. She went straight to my childhood. And my first, I was with her for like 4 months, and my first sessions were literally what I witnessed as a child, how I felt as a child, what was school like, what was my teenage years like, did I see anything, did I go through anything? And it was difficult. It was really, really difficult. I used to walk away thinking, why am I even here? Why am I doing this? I don't need this. But looking back, it's that therapy that put me into the position of who I am today. Yes. Like, I wouldn't be SKLifeCoachUK if it weren't for going for therapy. That therapist then put me on a journey to learn about the mind, because I was struggling a lot with PTSD, which, again, the anxiety came along with the PTSD. But I then went on to study the mind and understand it. And I think for anybody who is struggling with anxiety or mental health, one of the best things you can do, if you don't go for therapy, if you do something for yourself, is start to read books on mental health, start to read books on anxiety. The more you can understand anxiety, the less it's going to impact you. But again, it takes time. It ain't going to happen overnight.
Absolutely. And it's baby steps, right? Therapy, just like therapy, it's baby steps. Anything you do in life that is going to be working on yourself. You don't go gym and go, yeah, I'm going to bench 100 on your first day. You work your way up to that. And that's exactly what therapy and better mental health is. It's saying, okay, I want to be better. I want to do better. And then starting small. It could be going for that walk. It could be doing breathing exercise. It could be grounding yourself. Something you mentioned on my podcast, Steve, is you do your gratitude exercises every morning. There's so many things you can do. And if you can educate yourself around the downfalls of anxiety, stress, depression, just poor mental health, you can then start learning your whys. and build yourself up from that.
It's like you say, Vish, it's self-development. And that's a lot of people don't get mental health. You know, like we've all got mental health just like we have physical health. And it's like you said, people go to the gym. You're not just going to go to the gym and start benching 50k dumbbells. You've got to work your way up to them in order to feel like at your strongest. That's why people throw weights about to get strong. And it's the same with your mental health. The more you can do, the more you can read, listen to podcasts, educate yourself on your mental well-being, then again, it's that self-belief starts to grow, that confidence starts to grow. You start to understand it. We need to be doing more of that. Like we should all be looking after our mental health.
Absolutely. It's I always say there's, physical health is just as important as mental health. The only thing is with physical health, you can actually see it. So if you've got a broken arm, people will see it. You've got a broken leg, you'll see it. With mental health, it's silent, but goddamn, is it violent. It doesn't care who you are. You can be a CEO, you can be an apprentice, you can be anywhere in between. It doesn't care about your race, it doesn't care about your size, it doesn't care about your gender, it doesn't care about anything. All it will do is will keep attacking you slowly but surely. So get on top of it. You can do it. Anyone listening to this, you can do it. Don't give up on yourself. And it's not going to be an easy journey, but the journey is worth it every single day.
And you mentioned just then the power of gratitude, something I preach all the time, because it's something I laughed at. Even through therapy, my therapist was trying to get me to write a gratitude list. And I was like, I ain't writing a gratitude list. I mean, that's not a chance. And it was only when I started studying the mind myself and studying addiction and all sorts of other, like even domestic violence, I read that the brain finds it so much easier to focus on the negative. And that's where anxiety kind of comes in. You're focusing on what could go wrong, what's going to happen. It's the negatives. By writing a gratitude list first thing in the morning, 7 things that you're grateful for and why, and feeling that gratitude, feeling why you're so grateful for it. And it doesn't matter what it is, even if it's just you've got water in the tap, you've got central heating, you've got a house, you've got clothes, it doesn't matter what it might be. Your brain starts then focusing on the positives throughout the day. And then that anxiety drops because you're not thinking the negative. You're in the now, you're focusing on today, and that's it.
What a brilliant episode this has been. God blimey. I think we touched the negatives and we preached the positives. So it's a win-win.
I didn't know there was so much you could talk about on anxiety, to be fair. And it just opened a can of worms in my head. You know what I mean? It's like I say, whether it's professional life, whether it's personal life, each and every one of us has anxiety. We wouldn't be human without it. And it's there to protect us. But sometimes it goes into overload. And that's when it stops us from doing what we want to do, what we need to do. And it starts affecting mental health. So for anybody listening, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you do struggle with anxiety, then please do reach out. Do talk to somebody. Because me and Vish, we've both gone through it. We've both struggled with We've been to our dark places. If it wasn't for them dark places, I wouldn't be who I am today. And I'm sure you're the same. I'm grateful for the journey that I've been on, as dark as it got. Because I am now who I am because of that journey. And it's the same for anybody listening. Whatever you're going through at the moment, just keep talking, get the help, get the support, and it will become your strength.
Absolutely.
Well, Vish, thank you for the chat. I'm sure we'll be back on chatting about something else soon.
Yeah,
possibly therapy.
Therapy, yeah.
Thank you for everyone who's listened. Please do subscribe if you're not subscribed, and tell each and every one of your friends and family to join as well. We really do. Well, I personally want this to grow, because I know through each episode, out of all of us that are talking, there is lessons in there, and none of us are therapists. We're not CEOs. We're not. We're just guys talking and our own experience. And for me, there's a lot you can learn from that lived experience. So thank you to everyone. Thank you to you, Vish, and catch you again next time.
Wicked, mate. Been a pleasure.
Thanks for viewing this episode. We really appreciate your support. Remember, follow us, subscribe, share with a mate, join us live. Built for us. Let's build something stronger together.